Hey y'all, welcome back to another live with me. I see we already have 2 people in here. Shout out to Jello. Hey. I definitely am feeling a little bit better, kind of. My family left today, so I'm kind of feeling like the letdown from like all the guests leaving and stuff. But I just took a bath, so I figured I'd come on here and go live and do some skincare and do a story time series and start a little series of doing skincare and story time where I just tell little snippets of me and Tyler because I want to talk about him. So, welcome to the new series. And basically my family came. I had a bunch of guests like this past week. It's been super busy for me. Hey everybody, and thank you for all the love. This past week, a bunch of guests have come, like my best friend from Virginia, and then my family, and everyone's gone. So I'm kind of having like the letdown. Like my dad left this morning, which was really hard. I was like, don't leave. So we're gonna do skincare and story time. So I'm gonna start with Kiehl's Rare Earth Deep Pore Cleansing Mask. They just sent this to me for their back to school box. And this is supposed to stay on for 10 minutes and then you're supposed to wipe it off with a damp, like warm towel and then pat dry. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. And then chit chat. So the story time is about, so in the title, this story time is going to be about me and Tyler's honeymoon. So it's going to be a story time about our honeymoon and what we did. So let's get into it. So I'm using Kiehl's face mask. Let's put this on with my finger. I know, right? 10 minutes. Yeah. So me and Tyler got married and I was 19 and he was, let's see, was he like 20? I think he was 20. Yeah. He was 20, maybe he had just turned 21. But I was 19 and we got married and we went for our honeymoon. And anyone want to guess where we went? It's a really popular place that I always reference. If someone guesses it, I'm sure y'all will guess it pretty quickly. It's somewhere in the United States. No, not Vegas. No, it's somewhere in the United States and it's somewhere that I've referenced. Yep, Outer Banks. Someone already guessed it, yep. Okay, so we went to the Outer Banks. Okay, so I'm supposed to leave this on for 10 minutes. And I'm gonna wipe it off. So I have a thin layer on. Okay. I'm gonna clean my hand off real quick. Okay, so we went to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. So a lot of you guys probably have seen the TV show Outer Banks, and I don't know if anyone else knows this, it wasn't filmed actually in the real Outer Banks, which is in North Carolina. And where we went was Nags Head, so it was about 2 hours away from where we lived at the time, and we stayed at the First Colony Inn, which is a bed and breakfast. So again, I was 19. So my dad came through and he paid for our honeymoon. I think my dad and my mom came together for our honeymoon and surprised us. And so we had no idea where we were going to go. Yes, this is a face mask, by the way, people who are just joining. So we had no idea what it was going to be. They told us it was going to be a surprise. So we were like, okay. And after our little wedding, they gave us the travel plans. They're like, all right, here's where you're going tomorrow. So we were like, oh, so excited. And so it was this charming bed and breakfast. And It's in the Outer Banks, it's in Nag's Head, and it's so affordable. And if anyone wants to like explore it, or like lives near the Outer Banks, or like wants to stay somewhere affordable there, First Colony Inn. So it's this like charming bed and breakfast. They have a library upstairs. They give you charcuterie and wine in the afternoon. They have like, it's so cute and it's historic. So at one point they moved the entire bed and breakfast from like one place to the other. And that's like part of its history basically. So my dad chose that place because I think he had stayed there and he really liked it. So he chose that for us. And they had bicycles that we could ride. They had a pool out back. There's a garden. There's like rocking chairs. There's like a wraparound porch. Like it's just so charming and lovely. And the breakfast is made like in the kitchen, and like it's just like home cooked. So fire. So fire. So that's where we stayed, and we did ride the bikes for our honeymoon. So this was our first time ever going to the First Colony Inn. Our first trip of many. I'm gonna do some, I'm like reluctant to do hair care. I'm gonna wait till the end of the mask. So we went to the First Colony Inn countless times after our honeymoon. But the very first time we went, we did like ride bikes. So we went for a bike ride down the street, and we like looked at all the houses. And if you haven't been to the Outer Banks, like look it up. They have a very unique style of like houses on the water, and they're so pretty and colorful, and like everything's super bright. So we went for a bike ride, and like I remember Tyler was totally out biking me because he was like he did like marathons and like all that with his family. Like he was a runner. So he was like totally out biking me, and I was like, you need to slow down. And I think I was wearing like sandals. Jello wants to know, like, was Tyler like my first love? Yes, he was. So then we didn't meet in high school, but we met like shortly. So I graduated high school at like 17, and I was married to him by 19. So I met him after high school when I was in community college. So anyways, we rented bikes and we went for a bike ride, and it was super fun. And we did like all of the activities that the inn had to offer. We went upstairs to the library, and we read, and we looked at books of horses, and like the whole thing is like, one second. Mac wants to know, what year did we get married? 2018. And then Peachy Chai wants to know where Tyler's from. He's from the Chicago area. So we went upstairs in the inn, and we explored like the library, and the Outer Banks has a lot of history with horses because there's like wild horses in Corolla and other parts of the Outer Banks, and I'm obsessed with them. So there was all these books about horses and birds, and Pea Island was also there. So it was like the first time that Tyler and I really connected over nature, like for real. Because one of our first dates was the Smithsonian Zoo in DC, but we really connected over birds during this trip, like for the first time. And that's what kind of like started our love for bird watching and like doing that, even though we were young. We were young, so people were like, why are you going bird watching? We're like, because we like to. And we have binoculars. So anyways, so we're in the Outer Banks, and mind you, Tyler, his ancestry, he is Polish. So that man did not, there was no in between for him in terms of like being normal colored and completely burnt. Like, he did not tan at all. Like, there was no in between for that man. So during the trip, we didn't really like, it was early May, so it was pretty cold in the water. Like, in the Outer Banks in early May, you cannot swim. Like, it's too cold. So we didn't swim in the water or anything, but we definitely like walked on the beach and like did all that. I'm gonna tell a funny story here in a minute about the beach. But Kylie wants to know what's my favorite bird. So me and Tyler kind of had the same favorite bird. And this bird it comes to the Outer Banks like every year. It's called the tundra swan, and they are so pretty, and they're like these big white swans with like black beaks. And they migrate to the Outer Banks every year. So we used to go for my birthday because they migrate towards my birthday, which is in December, and we would go and bird watch. So back to the story. By the way, does anyone want to moderate while we're on here? Does anyone want to be the moderator while I story time? I'm about to get this mask off here in a second because it's dry. Peachy Chai, you want to come through? All right. Okay. All right, Peachy Chai, I made you a moderator. So, anyways, to go on with the story. So we were at the inn, and we were basically just like exploring the inn, and you know, we didn't have a lot of money, like at all, to be honest. So we were like exploring the inn and like biking and like, you know, walking around and doing stuff like that in the Outer Banks. But we also went to like some of our favorite places for the first time, like ever. So I'll explain those places in 1 second, but let me get this wet and let me wipe off this face mask. So a moderator basically gets to like manage the comments. So if somebody's saying something that's like out of pocket or inappropriate, they can delete, they can put people in timeout, stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna take this off. So in the Outer Banks, there's not a lot to do, but there's like, it's mainly like a beach town. Like, you're supposed to go to the beach. Like, that's the point. So there's only a few, like in Nag's Head, especially that time of year, there's only a few places to eat. So our favorite place became Nag's Head Pizzeria. And basically, like, it's just like a pizza shop down there. And I got a bumper sticker there during our honeymoon, and I put it on my Scion TC. And, Kylie, why are you leaving? Hold up. Okay, I'm gonna keep going on. So, we got pizza, and we sat in the restaurant, and basically we chit-chatted, and neither of us were even 21, so we couldn't even order like any sort of alcohol or anything. So we just sat and did pizza, and then we went back to the bed and breakfast, and in the morning we got breakfast. And I remember they did like stuffed French toast, like they would do stuff like that, go above and beyond, and it was just like amazing. And then, let's see, we ended up going to our second favorite place other than Nag's Head Pizzeria. We went to, there's an aquarium on Manteo. Is it an island? No, it's not. I don't think it's an island. But in Manteo, there's an aquarium there. And it's really small. And it's called there's like, there's like some on my nose I'm trying to get. It's called the NC Aquarium on Roanoke Island or something, I think. I think that's what it's called. But they have a leucistic alligator, which is like super rare, and I am an environmental girly, and I love like that. And so like I remember freaking out, and Tyler was also like, I remember he thought it was also really cool. And like we got married pretty fast. So a lot of like the beginning of our marriage was, to be honest, like us getting to know each other on a really deeper level. And like we really bonded over like just looking at the different animals and like seeing which was, you know, each other's favorites. And that's when I figured out that he loves lizards and he has this weird obsession with axolotls and salamanders. And that's when I said he was my little lizard. And like they had turtles and like otters, and he had to pull me away from the otters because I was looking at them for like ever, and it was insane. And it was so fun, and we laughed, and we were the type of people where we would like stand at an exhibit and like look like really, really deeply, and like we would both like be like looking real hard, and we'd be like, do you see that? And we'd try to spot like everything in the exhibit together. Like we'd be like for example, like a frog exhibit, we'd be like trying to spot the frog together. Like we'd do stuff like that together. And we also loved the same types of animals. So we like loved otters, and, you know, we were both obsessed with like turtles and like, the leucistic alligator both like sent us. We were like, oh my gosh. And they had a sea turtle exhibit. They have a sea turtle exhibit there at the aquarium. And they have the thing where you can like pet the stingrays, but the sea turtles, we really got to like see like really cool rescue efforts that the local community had done and the Coast Guard had done. And like we just became like, that became like our place, like our favorite place, was the Outer Banks and Nag's Head. And so that night we ended up going out to dinner, and we discovered one of our favorite dinner places, which is I'm pretty sure it's called the Blue Moon Beach Grill. And it's in Nag's Head, and it is so good. And, we went, and I remember by the time we went the second, like after our honeymoon, by the time we went again and we were of drinking age, like I remember Tyler bought me I got a glass of wine and I loved it so much. He bought me the whole bottle of it. It was like, I'm taking this home for you. But our first time there, we ate at the Blue Moon Beach Grill. We had Nag's Head Pizzeria. We did not have Duck Donuts. Shockingly enough, I did not take him to Duck Donuts. Mainly because we were staying at a bed and breakfast, so there was no reason to. So I'm doing Kristen Ness's leave-in conditioner. So breakfast was covered, you know? So anyways, we end up going to the beach because I'm the type of person where I want to go to the beach and I want to collect sand. I want to collect some shells, maybe dip my toes in the water, even if it's freezing cold. And I was determined that we were going to sit on the beach and we were going to sit there, at least for a little bit. And I can get my pictures, and like I wasn't even into social media at the time. And like I wanted to take pictures, and like, you know, it was our honeymoon, you know? And so like we set up a chair, we set up an umbrella, and although it was like the beginning of May and it was cold and we were the only people out there on the beach, we set up our little thing and we just kind of sat out there. And while Tyler ended up coming out into the sun, and like we were just finding shells, you know, doing whatever. Well, neither of us brought sunscreen on this trip because we got married on May 4th, so we went on like May 5th. So we did not bring sunscreen. And Tyler, bless his heart, got sun poisoning just by being outside for like, we were outside on the beach in the open sun for about, I don't know, not even 2 hours, but like an hour and a half. And he got sun poisoning. So he got so burnt that he turned like I realized we need to leave. Like, you are so burnt. And like he was red and it was terrible. And he ended up getting something called like devil's itch, which is where like your sunburn turns to like this itch that like you just can't get to. And he was like in agony, and it was like awful for him. We had to go get aloe, and it was like he literally got sun poisoning from being out in the sun for not even 2 hours. So that kind of set the tone for the rest of our marriage. Like anytime we went to the beach or anytime we like went out, like Tyler needed sunscreen. Like that was like a must for him. Like I made sure he had sunscreen, made sure like he loved to wear hats, you know, because he'd always get burnt. So that's why he would always wear hats and stuff like that. So he always would burn. So he got sun poisoning immediately. I felt so bad. Also during this trip, we went to the dunes. So now for my skincare, I'm going to do Kiehl's Ultra Pure High Potency Serum. This is their niacinamide. Can't read today. So we went to the dunes, which if you don't know what the Outer Banks dunes are, it's where they took the first flight, like ever. So like it's where they flew the first plane, in Kitty Hawk. So doing 1, 2, this is thick. Okay. 3. So we went to Kitty Hawk and we went on the dunes and we walked around and we walked up the dunes. And mind you, this man, like, he told me straight up, he's like, I don't like sand. I don't like the way it feels on my feet. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't really like sand. So I'm just going to wear my Vans. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, like I want to go on the dunes and stuff. I just don't want the sand in my feet. So I just wear shoes. And I was like, so he was like the only guy on the beach wearing shoes. And we're like, okay, unless he was going in the water. And so we went up onto the like top of the dune and I had him take a picture of me and I was like looking out and it was so pretty. It's like this huge, like, looks like a desert almost because it's so big. And we looked at the dunes and we just walked all the way to the end of the dunes. Now I'm going to do Kiehl's Creamy Eye Treatment. So we walked all the way to the end of the dunes and we walked down the dune and then we found the water on the other side of the dunes. And we ended up kind of like splashing around and he took my picture again. So I have like pictures from this moment. And let's see. When we were at the aquarium, we went out onto the pier and we took pictures together out on the pier. And we also, he took a picture of me. I think I had like, yeah, I had like redder hair at the time-ish, I think. But he took a picture of me like leaning over the gate with like the ocean behind me because Tyler really loved photography. And he loved, like, I guess, like I just put on eye cream, so I really don't want this part to make me start crying. But Tyler, he knew what, like, he taught me a lot about photography in terms of like seeing something and like seeing the vision in your head and like taking the perfect picture. And like all of the pictures that I'm gonna start crying now, but so what are we, 24 minutes in? I was like, I'm trying not to cry in this, but all the pictures that he took of me, like the detail that he would put into like the angle and like what he was doing, like he taught me the beauty of like photography, but also that translates to like making videos. So I guess like, you know, kind of every time I pick up my phone, I kind of think about him now. I'm kind of like, because he kind of taught me like that side of it, like photography, because I never had an interest in it, and I became an influencer while married to him. Like that whole journey started, you know, while I was with him. And so like he taught me that beauty. And so I have a lot of pictures of just me. But I love them still because he took them. So it's in a different perspective. It's in his perspective. And I'm like, oh my gosh, his beautiful mind. So no crying because I'm doing skincare. I'm trying not to cry, but you know what? It's story time, so it is what it is. These story time series are going to be what they are. I'm either going to cry or I'm not. So yeah, he would take pictures and I love them and I cherish them absolutely. Like to this day, I absolutely cherish them now. So in hindsight, I like, you know, I had no idea, but yeah. So I'm missing him tonight hard. I'm missing him. And honestly, y'all, like I was taking a bath before this and before I decided to come on here and do a story time about like our honeymoon and just like start a live series. I was in the bath thinking about like what a like I was thinking about how it sucks. Cause like, okay, right now, Hurricane Hillary's going on, okay? Like we're all, yes, PG Chai will make more vitamin water. So we're all dealing with Hurricane Hillary here on the West Coast. And I'm like upset because I'm upset because I don't live under the same sky as my husband anymore. Like I'm literally like mad at the weather. Like I'm literally to that point where I'm like angry at the weather. Like I'm upset that like there's a storm and I'm like not under the same sky as my husband anymore. Like it just dawned on me, like, cause I can see like all the clouds. There's no weather here in Vegas ever. So I was kind of like, wow, okay. Sad girl hour. And then it dawned on me too, like in the bath that like, I don't know, it just dawned on me that like the world lost a beautiful mind. And I'm like, man, I miss him so much. Like literally, like he had such a beautiful mind. Like, and I just wish like the world needed him. I just wish that things were different. But I'm trying to honor him more. Honor him by telling his story and telling my story. So hold on, let me take a sip of water. So it's always going to make me emotional to talk about him, but I love talking about him and about the good times that we had together. Because we had so many good times. Like, we had a lot of good times together. So I'll finish up story time about our honeymoon. So let's see. So we went to the aquarium. We saw the leucistic alligator, which if you guys don't know what that is, basically, instead of being albino, the alligator has it has spots of, so it's like albino, but it has spots of regular color. So it's leucistic. And it's really rare. And like there's only like a few. Like there's only, or not a few, but like there's only so many in the United States, like period. So the fact that there's one there is just such a rare sight that we were like, wait, what? Because it's a rare, like, genetic thing. Just like something being albino. So we were both, like, freaking out over that. And we always wanted to go back because of that. So, yeah, I covered the aquarium, our favorite aquarium in Manteo, North Carolina. Also, our pizzeria, favorite pizzeria place, Nag's Head Pizzeria. And then Blue Moon Beach Grill. Let's see. And then, of course, the inn. And that inn is where, like, we sat on the rocking chairs. We weren't drinking age. We just sat and we played cards. and we played rummy, and we just like enjoyed each other's company, and we rode bicycles around, and it was a short trip. It was like only it was like, I think 2 days. And then we came back, but it was beautiful. Like, I'm gonna cry again. It was beautiful, y'all. Like, I just want you guys to know that. Like, our love was so beautiful. A lot of you guys say, why are we just now hearing about him? Why was he off camera? You know, da 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 da. Because the channel wasn't really like about him, and he didn't want to be on camera. So I was like, all right. You know, it was about shopping and, you know, doing stuff like that. And yeah, me too. And like, I would show him here and there, but he did not want to be talking and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, I respect that. You know, he's camera shy. I'm cool with that. Like, fine. But so I don't want you guys to think like, oh, just like all of a sudden, you know. No, all the while I had this beautiful, beautiful love. And I was so lucky for it. And everyone around me would say to me, like, you're so lucky. Like, you found your soulmate so early. Like, how did you know? And I was like, you just know. You just do. And, like, now, today, like, honestly, guys, like, today, like, I just look up at the sky and, like, I see Hurricane Hillary. And I'm just, like, mad that I'm not living under the same sky as my husband. Like, period. So it hits hard, I guess, when I'm in my feelings and it's raining and the sky is like matching my mood. But yeah, he was just like, we became adults together. He was a huge part of my life. I miss him every day. So anyways, for our honeymoon, we also went putt-putt golfing, and that's when I realized that Tyler will to this day always beat me in putt-putt. We played putt-putt together, and he beat me, and I was like taking pictures, and I was like LOL, and he was like, I really thought that I was gonna beat him, but he was like, no. And I didn't realize what I was getting into. This man was pulling hole-in-ones. He came through like golfer energy, and I was like, wait, what? Like, oh my gosh. Like, so we had a blast. And we got ice cream too. Like, we got ice cream together. We just simply had a blast. And it was beautiful because I collected all of these shells and I brought them home with me and I put them out in our apartment, in our first apartment. And that's what's really gonna make me cry, is like, you guys wanna talk about like who I am? Like, Peachy Maddie, like, so you want a cute apartment but you're broke. That was my apartment with Tyler. Like, I don't think I'm ever changing the intro. Like, I don't think I'm ever changing it. It was our apartment. We lived in a loft apartment. And, I brought all the seashells back. We didn't have money for furniture, you know, none of that stuff. Like, we did gifts, or, you know, we got gifted everything from family or whatever, or like, you know, Facebook Marketplace or whatever. And I put up the seashells as like decor, like in the living room on the coffee table. And that's when I started getting into really getting into decorating my own space and like making my own space like amazing. And like, it was in that apartment. So, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I really wish that I could turn back time and just do it all over again. Like, even if it had the same, like, awful ending, like, even if the ending was literally the same, like, I'd do it all over again. Even if I knew the ending, I'd still do it all over again. I swear. I miss him. I'm trying to get through this. I'm trying to get through my skincare. I'm like, should I stop? Because I'm trying to put on this last product, but I'm in my feelings, y'all. Like, oh. So I came up with the, so you want a cute apartment, but you're broke, because that was my life. Like, that was my life. You know, and I was like, you know, let me put people on how to go to Dollar Tree and do what I do. Because my friends started coming over and they're like, your apartment is cute. Like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get that? And I'm like, Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree. And they're like, wait, what? And so I posted my first TikTok. I ended up going viral. I made a following out of that one video, which was my wedding cake. It was Tyler and I's wedding cake. So, like, literally, like, it's so, like, this is gonna make me cry even more because I didn't even really realize until now, but, like, Tyler, like, literally without Tyler, like, I would not be here. Peachy Maddie would not be here without Tyler, because my very first video that I ever posted was of our wedding cake, and I was thawing it, and I was eating it, because we had frozen it for an entire year, and I was thawing it, and I was getting ready to eat it, and, like, that is what made me who I am. Like, that is what skyrocketed me and gave me a jump start to do this. And Tyler was the man behind me the entire time, behind the scenes, supporting me, loving me, cheering me on. Like, go ahead, girl. Like, yes. Like, that's my wife type energy the whole time. And I feel like it's really, really, really meaningful that, like, that man is, like, who I can thank. Like, thank you, Tyler. Like, I love you. But I just realized that, like, if it weren't for him, like, I swear, like, we wouldn't even be here. Like, we have Tyler to thank. That's so beautiful. So that's so the story time is about to end, because I'm in my feelings. I need to order dinner, and I need to put on this last product without crying. But yeah, I love this series already. I'm having breakthroughs during this that I haven't thought of before. So I hope you guys like it too, because I'm going to continue doing these story times to tell you guys more about Tyler so that you feel like you know him more and you can get to know him better. So I'll finish with the last thing that we did on this trip, which was bird watching. We got into bird watching on this trip. I'm going to open up this new thing at Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream that they sent me. Thank you, Kiehl's. I love you. So we went to Pea Island. I don't waste nothing. By the way, quick interlude. I don't waste nothing. So when you pull off this, we go ahead and wipe every drop. Every last drop. Yup. So anyways, so we went to Pea Island, which is a bird preserve. Is it a bird preserve or is it like a wildlife? It's either a wildlife preserve or it's it's a bird sanctuary. Sorry. It's a bird sanctuary. It's more towards Rodanthe in the Outer Banks. So we went to Pea Island for the first time because I looked on, basically, like, when we stayed at the bed and breakfast, they gave us, like, this guide of, like, stuff to do in the room. So we were reading it together, and we were like, oh, Pea Island sounds fun. And we ended up going, and that's when we saw, like, all the birds for the first time, and, like, we fell in love. Like, we both were, like, so enamored by just watching the birds together, and, like, enjoying each other's company, whether it was in silence or we were talking. Like it was, you know, it was just, we just vibed. Like he was my other half. I don't know how else to explain it. And basically, so we got into bird watching on that trip as well. That's when our love for bird watching began. And he got into this game called Wingspan, which I'm sure a lot of you guys know. It's a board game, but it's also a PC game. So, okay, Kay, I'm going to add you as moderator. Thank you. Okay, Kay's the moderator since Peachy Shy had to go. So anyways, he plays Wingspan, or he played Wingspan. And it was the board game, and then it was PC, and like all of, like, he became like obsessed with birds, like, and we had like bird guide upon bird guide, and that's why I want to write a bird guide. And honestly, I think when I do, I'm gonna dedicate it to him. And I think it's gonna, like, when you open it up, it's gonna, like, oh my gosh. I'm trying not to be like OD emotional, but like, I think when I do publish my bird guide, which I've been talking about for quite some time, by the way, like way before Tyler's passing, I think I wanted to, like, I want you to open it and it says like for Tyler. Like, I wanted to say that. I just miss him and I want to do something to honor him, like something big, you know? So that's why I'm like doing these story times, and I'm, you know, letting you guys know who he was and like learn the things that he liked, like playing PC and birds and playing Wingspan and the beach, and he didn't like sand, and so he wore his Vans on the beach, which, by the way, this man never wore any shoes other than Vans. That's it. And so, oh, my dad is on, everybody. Chrome City Records is on. That's my dad. Shout out to my dad. So I'm doing a new series, Dad. Let me explain this to Dad. So I'm doing a new series where I'm doing story time and skincare. And during the story time, I might cry. But this story time was the honeymoon that you gave to Tyler and I. So thank you. And I love that you tuned into this live. So this was the honeymoon that you gave to Tyler and I when we went to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. We went to the first Colony Inn for the first time. And I'm explaining why we have a love for, like, bird watching and Nag's Head Pizzeria and going to the dunes. And I think, like, later on in the Storytime series, I'll go on about, like, our future trips there and how we flew kites and did all the things. And we absolutely fell in love with that place because of my dad. Shout out to Chrome City Records. Yes. Dad, I did not think you'd be on this live. Hi. I was actually about to get off. So, yeah, I'm going to end the live. But basically, this series gives me a chance to let you guys know some stories about me and Tyler and our memories, like our beautiful memories that we created together, so that you guys can get to know him and know, like, who he was as a person. And yes, that, like my dad said, Tyler taught my little sister how to fly a kite. Like, we were up on the dunes and he taught her how to fly a kite, and it was so, like, I remember taking a video, and I remember at the time, like, that video was, like, making me cry, because I was like, this is a core memory. Like, I know this is a core memory. Like, I knew it. And, like, the video, like, I was like, like, him with my little sister, and he was, like, teaching her how to fly the kite on the dunes, because we ended up going back, like, time and time again, like, with family or just me and Tyler, because we were only 2 hours away from Nag's Head. So it became our favorite spot because of my dad. Shout out to Chrome City Records and Papa Peachy. That's his new nickname that YouTube has deemed, Papa Peachy. And that's why it became our favorite spot. So we ended up going back time and time again and just absolutely loved it. And once we moved out here to Vegas, we were like so sad. And I remember we went one last time for, I believe, my birthday last year. And we were super sad because we were like, this is the last time we're ever gonna go, like, for a while. But I don't know when I'm gonna be back, but it'll definitely be with my dad and my little sister and family, 100%. But I hope you guys liked this first little episode of skincare and story time about Tyler and our memories. And it's also a little therapy sesh. I will be checking my P.O. box tomorrow, and I'll be checking my mail tomorrow. So if anyone sent anything to the P.O. box, I will be seeing it tomorrow. I am so excited to go see what's popping at the P.O. box and open up some letters and cards, and I'll post a picture of like the spread. And thank you everybody for tuning in. So we've hit 45 minutes, so I'm gonna get off and order some dinner. Thank you, Dad, for tuning in. I love you. And I love all of you guys, all my subscribers. And I will be back on live for the next skincare and story time very soon. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll go live this week doing a recipe, or like making like scotcheroos, or making like making cookies or something. I might go live doing something else too. But yeah, I love you guys. Everybody stay safe tonight. Drive safe as always. And tell the people that you love them. And I hope that everyone has an amazing day tomorrow. And I hope your day is blessed tomorrow. And know that I love you and that you are loved in general. Period. And yeah. Okay. Good night, guys. Bye.